What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp here for the Fightful.com podcast. December 4th edition, our first of two for December 4th. We will be doing a show after WWE TLC Sunday night. This show brought to you by our good friends at Fresh Clean Tees. Guys, style is constantly evolving, but one thing that doesn't go out of style is a silky smooth, beautiful, wonderful t-shirt. Now, some t-shirts go out of style. Joe, when's the last time you wore an Affliction shirt?
A very long time ago. I'm going to go with probably 3 years ago.
Exactly. The Fresh Clean Tees that I get from freshcleantees.com, I'll be wearing for years and years to come. One stop buy, you can get them in a subscription package for any occasion. Fresh Clean Tees is a super flexible service allowing you to change sizes, skip shipments, or pick between subscriptions or those one-time shops. Premium t-shirts without the premium price. As one customer said, Joe, he is the Indiana Jones of t-shirts. And Fresh Clean Tees are his holy grail. And you know what, Joe?
What's that?
I know you're a cheapskate. So you use the code FIGHTFUL. I'll get you 20% off. How about that?
Pretty slick. Pretty slick.
It is pretty slick. FreshCleanTees.com. Use that code FIGHTFUL. Help out the Fightful podcast. Joe, we've had a doozy of a time this weekend, especially you, my friend.
Yeah, I'm a little beat, a little exhausted, but that's what comes, when we do what we do in the world of mixed martial arts. I don't think I could ever complain about being as tired as you because you're 7 days a week, 365 nonstop. I just happened to have woke up in Miami. Yeah, I know. I woke up in Miami this morning, and here I am just north of Toronto. 1:41 a.m. after a UFC event called Titan last night. Great show at Titan. A little controversy in the main event, but is what it is. And then went back to the hotel, packed up, got in the shuttle, got to the airport. Here I am.
So we got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about a couple of really probably just one Bellator show. The other Bellator, we'll talk about the fighters in question, but there's plenty of stuff to talk about on this Ultimate Fighter 24 finale. Wow. This show was something special, Joe.
Some good scraps, man. A couple names that were kind of like, oh yeah, who's this again? And pretty impressive stuff.
Tim Elliott went from being fired after losing 3 straight fights in the UFC last year to probably Tuesday, Wednesday when the rankings come out being a top 10, top 5 flyweight. Did you see that coming?
So you just cut out the last thing you said that you're cutting out on me. What was that?
I said that Tim Elliott went from being fired last year for losing 3 straight fights in the UFC to probably this Wednesday when the rankings come out being a top 5, top 10 flyweight. Did you see that coming?
Well, yeah, I'm a little biased. Yeah, I'm going to say yeah because I got to call his title fights when he was in Titan, and then we knew when he went to the Ultimate Fighter, we were pretty adamant that he's going to be the number 1 pick, and then he goes through the show, wins the show, gets his title shot. Calling this guy's fights is just ridiculous. I used to have so much fun because I would call him the Matrix. You just never know what he's going to do. He does crazy things, and I always thought he'd improved his game outside of the UFC, and then if he ever had a chance to fight Demetrius Johnson, I actually thought he was going to do it one day if he could get back into the UFC. And then when that call came for the Ultimate Fighter, I looked at the names that were on there. I'm like, I think he's going to win the show. He did, and then he gets in there with Demetrius Johnson, and we can make the argument. It was the toughest title defense of Demetrius Johnson's career.
Definitely, he won that first round. Now, what this also does is makes a damn good argument for the UFC. Hey, if they want to do more of these seasons like this, completely justified at this point. You got a champion, a regional champion who went the distance with one of the greatest fighters of all time, and won the first round from him. Now, there were some things in this fight that I thought were a little unusual. There were a lot of fouls in this fight that weren't called. There was that soccer kick in the first round. There was a knee when Mighty Mouse's knee was down. There was some small joint manipulation. There were some strikes to the back of the head. No warnings issued. That was a little weird. This was an off night for Herb Dean. I'll say that. A big off night for Herb Dean.
Yeah, especially in that Ellenberger fight, which I'm sure we'll touch on in a moment. But there were some shots to the back of the head that could have been warnings given to Tim Elliott. But yeah, I think you're right. I mean, listen, Herb Dean's a human. Okay, he's allowed to have an off night. Thankfully, nobody was overly injured with him having an off night. But the guy's a human. I'm going to give him some slack.
Tim Elliott was really, really unpredictable. Ultimately, and I said this between the first and second round, my wife was watching the show with me, and I was like, here's the difference maker. Matt Hume is in Demetrious Johnson's corner. And if there's ever a man that can adjust to an unpredictable style, that can do that, Matt Hume's one of the few guys that can coach you to that. He did. It worked. Tim Elliott got out of a lot of hairy situations. There was a rear naked choke that would have finished anybody else in the division, I think. He got out of the trademark crucifix of Demetrious Johnson. At one point, in the first round, he almost choked out Demetrious Johnson with a guillotine, switched to a Darce choke. An incredible performance from Tim Elliott, even in a loss.
I mean, it was a fantastic performance. But again, it's something that for any fans that haven't been tuned in or haven't been tuning into Titan, this is how he fights, man. This is how he's been fighting for a while since he left the UFC. He is a fantastic fighter. And I don't know if it was Brian Stan or John Anik that mentioned it. Like, think of the matchups now for Tim Elliott, despite coming off this loss this evening. I mean, I want to see him fight everybody in the top 10. And when, like you mentioned, with the rankings coming out, I think it's top 5.
Yeah, I do too. Demetrious Johnson wins, and he really started to pull away, started to drag Tim Elliott into deep waters. Tim Elliott was still able to stifle him on the ground, like inside control. He grabbed his own leg, put his hand behind his head, and just the point to where Herb Dean was ready to stand it up. Hey, you got to do what you got to do. He spent more time on top of Demetrious Johnson in that first round than Olympic gold medalist Henry Cejudo did.
Yeah, one of the things that Tim was doing wasn't just putting his hand underneath and grabbing his leg. He was actually attempting a choke there. Because if you looked at where Demetrious Johnson's left shoulder was, it was he's driving it into his own neck. And with Tim bringing his leg across and bringing his forearm across, he's actually looking for a choke there. So he's not necessarily.
So he's got both carotid arteries taken care of there.
Yeah. So he's actually looking for a choke there to see if Demetrious would kind of wiggle his way into making that tighter. But it also looks like a stalling position, and wouldn't have been surprised if Herb Dean did stand that up. So kudos to Tim Elliott. Little surprises here and there all the time.
Who's next for Demetrious Johnson? Because Joseph Benavidez, we'll talk about that, but he earned the victory tonight. He ain't getting Mighty Mouse Johnson right now. Wilson Hayes has a fight scheduled. If Formiga wins, I know that they'd love to throw him in there because he's never been in there. Also, before we get to this, I want to say, because we won't talk about the Moreno fight a lot, but Moreno, also a good case, a really good case for them bringing more of that Tough 24 cast into the UFC, because I heard they're not signing a whole lot of those people unless they need them. Brandon Moreno, Tim Elliott, great examples of why they should, because Brandon Moreno stepped in. He was eliminated in the first round on that show, stepped in, and now he's the top 10 flyweight. Crazy.
Yeah, listen, you and I have talked about this before, and how long I've professed this to the UFC way back when. The first conversation I had about this type of show format was when John Dodson and TJ Dillashaw were on the show. Those tryouts in New Jersey, it was something that we were discussing with the television network side. Was like, why not have an Ultimate Fighter with just champions? Just so many regional promotions. Just have champions from all these promotions. You can't tell me you can't find 16 champions, or at least champions with or guys #1 contenders at all these regional places. I mean, they went as far as Shudo to bring somebody in. So there's plenty of guys you can bring in every single division that are spectacular talent, that are better than guys that are on the UFC roster right now. So yeah, this is a great format, and I think they should be signing more guys that were on the show here, obviously just for the fact that this 125-pound division needs an infusion of blood, despite the fact that Demetrious continues to just clean it all out. I'm all for your Formiga suggestion. I'd love to see Hussein in there. I think he's the guy that probably deserves the most right now. So remains to be seen what they do, but other than Conor McGregor, I think Formiga's the guy.
Also, I'm not going to pretend to know how to pronounce his name, but the guy, the Shudo champion who made it to the finals, absolutely should be signed too. 15-3. His last 2 losses are like to Dantes and Horiguchi. Yeah, we'll let those slide, I think. So, Demetrious Johnson, we'll be talking about him more throughout the show.
Yeah, you didn't like my Conor McGregor suggestion?
I didn't.
Fights in every weight class. Come on, Demetrius, just move up. Let's just get a catch weight going here. Come on.
Jesus, that would be bad. But
awesome.
What was not bad, Joseph Benavidez and Henry Cejudo. And Joe, I hate to say I told you so, but
I know.
So.
I was just, you know me. I was watching that fight, and I'm like,
I'm never wrong.
Every time Cejudo was landing something, I'm like, oh, Sean's probably biting his lip, just getting so pissed.
Was Cejudo striking between his last fight and today? Holy crap. I didn't expect that. His kicks look better. His body kicks look better. His knees look better. Knees are like just a different animal at flyweight. It's just a different type of thing. They land at a much higher percentage. They land a lot harder at flyweight. They land a lot more solid at flyweight. I don't know why that is. Maybe it has something to do with the height. But there's also the issue of, when you're an Olympic gold medalist in wrestling, that's fine and dandy. But when you're taking down a guy who's 5'2", 5'3", they can get their legs underneath them a lot quicker than 5'8" and above, things like that. These two guys slugged it out. I did like that the ref deducted a point after 2 low blows. When people commit fouls, and this was an off night for Brian Stan too, he's like, I don't think either were intentional. It doesn't matter if they're intentional. You know what, Joe, if I were to backhand you across the face 2 times and said, whoa, Joe, it's not intentional. Don't be upset.
Yeah, there was. Even when Brian Stan was questioning Mark Ratner, I was like, "Oh man, yeah, that's just when Mark Ratner speaks. Chances are you just got to let it go, because even if Ratner is wrong, you don't want to sort of put him on the spot and embarrass him." But
Stan's gonna run for president. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, he's the man. It doesn't matter. He's the bomb. Let's just be honest for a second. But
hey, he could be the Rock's VP.
Oh, he could. Never mind. Yeah, good point.
That's a good ticket right there.
But you know what? Yeah, that low blow kind of that 30-26 card though. I don't know.
Weird card. Weird one. Yeah. Even 29-27. I had it a draw. I thought Cejudo took 2 rounds. I thought Benavidez took 1 round. Now I thought Benavidez was just going to mop the floor with Cejudo. He absolutely did not. Cejudo looked phenomenal. Apparently, the judges wanted to see this in a 5-round fight too. So hopefully we get that. I would love to see these two fight again immediately.
Yeah.
I would love to see it. This is one of my top 10 fights of the year, Joe.
Yeah. I mean, who's going to argue with that? Like, really, who's going to argue that? I can't see, Shelby or Joe Silva's time is pretty much done now, but I mean, you can't really argue that. I would love to see that fight again, just like we want to see the Thompson Woodley fight again. Like, this is a fight that you want to see again. It just feels like it's unfinished business.
Yeah, I agree. And these are 2 flyweights that they ain't beating Demetrius Johnson right now. Benavidez isn't getting that title shot anytime soon. Cejudo was just dominated by Johnson. So why not have them fight each other? It keeps them from knocking off other potential contenders, keeps them busy. They deserve a main event. I'll watch that 5 rounds all day long. We're gonna skip around here a little bit, but we're coming back to the main card. But Joe, there's a new Seraph in town, and his name is Rob Font.
He's a mean human being.
I just hit you with a Seraph Font joke. I'm so proud of that.
Yeah, I like it.
He knocked the Helvicta out of Matt Schnell.
That was just like, I was looking at that. I was looking at Rob going, "You're mean, dude. Like, you are mean." That was just a vicious, like 1 round. Just wow, like mean. Great performance, though. Amazing performance. So he deserves that. Just everything, how he was executing it. The fact how he stayed, I'm not going to say calm, kind of reserved, and just did his work, man. Did his job and just pounded away there until the finish came, and it was done.
I'll tell you what wasn't a good performance. Ryan Hall versus Gray Maynard. Now, I can appreciate this style. Ryan Hall has some really nice kicks, especially his hook kicks. They are great at range. Nothing short of great at range. I cannot respect somebody flopping a dozen times in a fight. I can't. And Gray Maynard probably getting cut, probably Bellator bound. This new regime isn't going to keep him around making $50K. I think we probably see Ben Henderson versus Gray Maynard in Bellator in 2015. I think that's a fight that gets made. What was up with this Ryan Hall thing? I get it. He's diving for leg locks. He's doing all that, but man, come on. What the hell?
Was I got a friend of mine that was messaging me or sent me an email afterwards. He just said, first things first, Gray Maynard should retire, and I was like, no, he shouldn't retire. He's doing okay. And B or two, he never wants to watch another Ryan Hall fight again.
Of course. Why would anybody as a fan ever pay money to see Ryan Hall again?
That's a good point. It's a good point. I wouldn't pay money to see him, but I had no problem with the way he's fighting, and I'll tell you why. It is mixed martial arts, and it's up to Gray.
Because you're a masochist, Joe.
No, I'm just simply saying it's a situation where Ryan Hall competes in a manner where he wants to get that fight down on the ground. And if you don't want to go down on the ground with him, he's going to keep throwing kicks because he's confident that, you know what, I want you to take me down on the ground. I want you to catch my leg. And if you don't catch my leg, I'm going to hit you in the face. So either way, no matter what, I want to get you down on the ground, and I'm always going to protect my face. I don't want you punching me. I don't want you touching me. So this is the style that I'm going to have. So it's incumbent on his opponent, in my opinion, to do something about that. Maynard did not want to go down to the ground and get his legs anywhere near gripped. You know your leg locks. I mean, especially with a guy like Ryan Hall, a master of the 50-50 position. That's not a guy you want to tangle with down there. So I get what he's doing. I understand the style, and it's mixed martial arts. You know, we're so used to seeing two guys standing and trading, one guy getting a takedown, and the fight continues on the ground. Well, you don't want to be on the ground with a guy like Ryan Hall. So Maynard proved that. You don't want to be down there. Got to keep this fight standing up. So then you have to figure out how to stick and move, get in there, and punish Ryan Hall and get those punches to land and knock him out.
I agree that, and I appreciate that he stuck to his game plan because a lot of people wouldn't. They'd let the crowd change that. I'll ask you this. What percentage of his purse would he have been deducted in Pride for this fight?
Yeah. I don't know. Be interesting. Would he have gotten a yellow card? I think he would have gotten
red cards? They would have made up black cards, orange cards, everything for this. Not the best fight, but Ryan Hall, interested to see where that goes. Sarah McMahon, Alexis Davis. This is interesting for a couple of reasons. Alexis Davis won that first round off her back, I thought, Joe.
Mm-hmm. Correct. I mean, it was.
I like that.
Yeah. It was. What did Sarah say? She couldn't feel her face in between rounds?
She said he couldn't feel half of her face. So she said, I'm just going to take her down, and did so with a beautiful hip throw. Beautiful hip throw, just magnificent. Now, Sarah McMahon also, she's always had a good jab. And I've noticed this is from a lot of wrestlers have good jabs. I don't know if it's because they're so used to getting out on that front foot quickly from the shots, but there are a lot of wrestlers that have excellent jabs, which is a great thing to have if you're setting up a takedown. She didn't need it for that one. Just got in, clinched, hip throw, which makes you appreciate Ronda Rousey's clinch game even more. The fact that, I mean, Alexis Davis, probably a top 15 fighter still, not ranked, but she was inactive for a long time. Sarah McMahon grabbed the arm triangle and finished her. She did what she had to do to get the hell out of the cage and get her win bonus.
Yeah.
Maybe a finish bonus too.
Yeah, well, as soon as she got past those legs, I was like, ooh, Alexis, you better hurry up. You better hurry up and get out of there real quick because it's about to get real ugly. And before I could even finish that thought in my head. I forgot
she's a Canadian, isn't she?
That is correct. No, actually, but I think she's the first Canadian I ever picked against. I thought Sarah McMahon was going to win this fight. I said she's going to take her down on the ground and she's going to punish her. I didn't think a submission was going to happen. I thought it was going to probably go the full 50 minutes. And even Sarah said it herself. She's expecting a 50-minute fight. But yeah, when those arms get around you, believe me, she's got that strength.
Huge arms. Here's a crazy thing. 36 years old, Sarah McMahon.
Yeah.
Crazy to think. Still getting it done, which Alexis Davis is, well, she's 32, but man, she hasn't fought a lot. She fought once this year, once last year. She's barely fought. Like in the last 3 years, it's been very, very, very inactive. Ronda Rousey seems to do that to people when she finishes them. They don't come back for a while, generally.
True.
Anthony Smith on the prelims knocks out Elvis. I guess you could say he had Elvis all shook up. Jared Cannonier in Kutalaba. Now, we had a guy who fought his last fight at 241 pounds against the guy who ran a marathon in his last fight. Cannonier looked like the guy who ran a marathon in his last fight because he kept up with Ian's pace through that first round and a half, then kind of pulled away. Now, first off, props to him for getting down, getting in shape, and making 205. Impressive. This was a fantastic fight. This was really good. And I want to see more of Jared Cannonier at light heavyweight. Definitely.
Yeah, but did you hear what he said in the post-fight interview?
What did he say? I must have missed it.
His wife is his nutritionist, and he said as long as his wife can put up with him, he'll try and go to 185.
Oh, no way.
Yep, and I think if you look at the way his body is constructed, I think he can make 185.
Hey, you know what? If he dropped like that, maybe he can. Maybe he can. Whew, I missed that one. Damn.
But that fight
Good
was
for him.
sick. That was just bomb fest after bomb fest, especially considering what happened at the beginning of the first round. Like it was a good fight.
The show was good, but those last 5 fights, ooh, damn. Speaking of one of the last fights on the show, Jorge Masvidal defeated technically Jake Ellenberger. He beat the brakes off of him though. Don't get mistaken, but Jake Ellenberger's foot slid in between the cage and the floor. It twisted. They stopped the fight, gave Jake Ellenberger a TKO loss. This fight's getting overturned, Joe. There's no question about it.
It has to. No ifs, ands, or buts. I don't care what. If there's nothing in the rules for the unified rules of mixed martial arts, no clause, no term, that is not a TKO victory. Herb Dean made the right call. I'm surprised. Yeah. I mean, Masvidal could have been a tad more classier and realized, hey, man, the dude, like, because Jake kind of looked back and was like, hey, hold on. And he just started pounding away. You could make the argument, listen, you don't stop until the referee tells you to stop. But you know, there is sportsmanship and have a little bit of honor. The guy's foot stuck in the cage. He can't defend himself other than just putting his hands up. So I think Herb Dean did make the right call.
Well, there is precedent. There is precedent. In 2001, there was the Aaron Brink Rich Franklin fight, and a guy's toe got stuck in the cage, and it was overturned to a no contest.
There you go.
It was made no contest. I want to see Jorge Masvidal fight Donald Cerrone like yesterday.
Yeah, that's a good fight. I like it.
Man, Masvidal just goes in there. And like, you know, those guys at the gym you see, and they make they do the loud breathing where they shout as they throw the strikes. Masvidal does that in the cage, and it's intimidating. It's so intimidating.
Cerrone's last fight is at UFC 206 versus Matt Brown.
Huh?
You think that this is going to be Donald Cerrone's last fight with the UFC at UFC 206, considering all the stuff that's going on?
Well, he just signed a new deal, so I don't think so.
All right.
I don't, but that's going to be also interesting. So also we'll bring up this. Chuck Liddell, Matt Hughes fired by the UFC. I guess there's nobody else that's going to tell fighters how great the Reebok deal is now. They got to find somebody else. Is it a coincidence that 12 hours after Chuck Liddell is fired, that Tito Ortiz announces his retirement after his next fight?
Interesting. No coincidence.
No coincidence. Also, I don't think Chuck Liddell will fight for Bellator. He's not old enough yet.
Oh, wow. All right.
Speaking of Bellator, Joe Warren got beat yesterday. Is he Bellator's Uriah Faber? Is he going to be that guy who keeps getting title shots, doesn't win, but keeps knocking off contenders?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Joe Warren to me, so it's just an anomaly sometimes. You know, he had this massive potential when he first got onto the scene, and it just kind of hit it, kind of reached it, and then just you know, I understand your Uriah Faber analogy, but he just completely stagnated, and I haven't really paid. You know, whenever I watch him fight, it's something, you know, I'll look down on my phone and hey, anything else going on, because it's just he doesn't do anything for me anymore.
Also on Bellator this weekend, AJ McKee defeats Ray Wood. Marcos Galvo defeats LC Davis. Chris Honeycutt defeats Ben Ryder. Darian Caldwell defeats Jotei Manglo in their rematch. So a good weekend for the people that Bellator want to push, Joe. Now, I haven't talked to you about this. Actually, I'll do the Gerald Harris thing before we talk Conor McGregor. I have put Gerald Harris over a lot on this show, right? And I did that long-form feature. And he fought this weekend. He fought Friday night. You probably saw it. He won via a phenomenal slam knockout. You saw that, right, Joe?
Yep.
Your reaction to that?
It always scares me. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was absolutely epic. It was fantastic. It's remember Rampage Jackson at Pride back in the Pride days? Like, if someone is gonna lift you up, guess what, dude? Either you better break that fall pretty good.
Yes.
Open your legs. Because if
this
you
is
get
among
slammed,
this is among the greatest slam knockouts of all time. Now, let me give you a little background here, guys. A couple of months ago, Gerald Harris is looking for a fight. This guy, Aaron Cobb, gets at Gerald Harris on Twitter and says, let's fight. And Gerald Harris thought it was a troll. Then he looked him up and he's like, oh, wait, this guy's 7-3. He wants to fight. Let's do it. Legacy put their last show on in Gerald Harris's hometown. Sold $10,000 worth of tickets through Gerald Harris in 2 days. That's a phenomenal number,
Nice.
as you know, Joe. Phenomenal number in 2 days. So the guy really starts to ramp it up on Gerald Harris, calling him the worst UFC veteran of all time. Somebody's like, who is this? And he's like, I don't know. I think he's a comedian or a clown or something now. He's not a fighter. Like, really trying to do it. Saying, pick your weight, pick your weight, pick your weight. They agree on a welterweight fight. Do you know what weight Aaron Cobb showed up at?
I'm going to say 170, but by the sounds of it, you're hinting he probably missed weight because I don't know the story.
He
So
sure
I'm going
did.
to probably
He sure
say
did.
175.
Try 224 pounds, Joseph.
Are you?
224 pounds
For a welterweight fight?
for a welterweight, pardon my French, fucking fight. 224 pounds. Gerald Harris was ready for welterweight. At weigh-ins on Thursday, he weighed in at 189. Cobb had a target of 205 to make on the day of the fight. Gerald, I don't know how. I'm going to try to get a hold of him. When Gerald's training, he's hard to talk to. He had to somehow weigh 208 pounds. And Gerald did. He probably weighed on with all his clothes, guzzling water. Gerald Harris, a welterweight, took this fight at heavyweight.
Thanks, that slam.
Wow.
That is unbelievable. I don't know. That's ridiculous, Sean. I mean, what commission was this under?
Oklahoma.
Well,
So,
okay.
and Gerald said there's no way he wasn't going to fight. You know, this is in front of his friends, his family. It's been 3 years. He had to fight. He made this guy pay. And so Aaron Cobb, I guess, didn't watch UFC 16. I guess isn't a guy who watches MMA because he did the same damn thing that David Branch did. He pulled standing guard, and you could see Gerald Harris held on to it for a little bit. Like, is this serious? Is this a real thing that's happening? Then he posts his arm into the guy's face, spine busters him into the ground, chucks the deuce, he wins. The crowd goes crazy, full of friends and family. Today, I find some of those old tweets where they're going back and forth, and Cobb is trashing Gerald Harris. And Gerald Harris 2 months ago says, be careful what you wish for. And you got Cobb saying, shut up and pick a weight. Wow. So Cobb finds me, Ian Bain, Josh Sanchez, one of my old editors on Twitter. And I don't advocate the use of this word, but he calls us repeatedly faggots and says, do you faggots even fight? Yeah.
Wow.
I'll tell you what, buddy. I respect the fact that he did time in the military. If I did fight, it sure as hell wouldn't be at welter heavyweight. But even though Aaron Cobb is officially the number 2 welter heavyweight in the world now. I mean, there's only 2 of them. There's him and Gerald Harris. This guy should never get a fight again. Well, let's not even talk about the language. I don't give a shit that he called me that. Couldn't care less about that. I mean, it's career suicide for him to say that publicly to a group of journalists who write about people. But I don't care. It's even more career suicide to show up 54 pounds overweight. He didn't even try. He said that he had a pinched nerve in his back. 54 pounds overweight, Joe. As Pat Miletich said, he missed weight by a fourth grader.
Is there something wrong with this guy? Because you can't just spout off like that. I mean, listen, we all have our freedom of speech positions, but you can't be calling people that. I mean, I've been upset with people online before. I just ignore them, delete them, or just block them, or move on.
He blocked me. He sure as hell blocked me right after he said it.
To the next. That's just. Well.
No, Aaron, I don't fight, but I tell you what, I've made weight for every fight, every grappling match, everything that I've ever done. I've made weight. I've made weight by a country fucking mile. So Aaron Cobb will probably never fight again. He'll probably end up with diabetes, unfortunately.
That's terrible.
And he can sit at home and watch the Fightful podcast. The Fightful podcast, Joe, which was nominated for 4 Sheety Awards. Sheety Awards. I know the name sounds funny. By a website called sheetsandwich.com, which covers the coverage of pro wrestling.
No way. Good stuff.
Yeah. Brandon Howard was nominated for Best Writer, Best Columnist. We were nominated for Best News Aggregator. And I was nominated for Best Podcast Host. Hot diggity damn.
That's awesome. Congratulations, boss.
Hey, not bad for a faggot, huh?
Jeez. I'm not going
As
there.
Aaron
I
Cobb would
can't
say.
go there. Stop.
As Aaron Cobb would say. Now, from here on, we will never use that word on our podcast again. That felt good. Do you know how happy it made me to just rewind that knockout over and over again? And my wife came in.
You're going to watch it all the time.
Do you know what my wife said when I showed her the knockout?
No.
When are you showing me the new one? Isn't this the old one you've shown me 1,000,000 times?
Oh, wow.
Talking about the UFC 116. Somebody says diabetes, that's cold, SRS, although he might lose his feet and make weight. Oh, no.
That's bad. Guys.
That's terrible. Hey, I've got people with diabetes in my family. Jesus Christ. You try keeping a straight face. I had Jimmy Van on here cracking me during ad pitches and all kinds of stuff last night, Joe.
Really?
Jeez. Now, before we go, Conor McGregor, Dana White says, this was Conor McGregor's decision to relinquish the title. Conor McGregor says, no, it was not. I'm still the champion. Nobody's taking shit from me. What do you think, Joe?
I'm telling you, this kid's not taking anything that the UFC is going to try and make him do. So it's you said I told you so about Benavidez and Cejudo, and I've been telling you and everybody do not underestimate what Conor McGregor is going to do to the UFC. I've been saying it for a while, and he's going to put a number on this organization. Mark my words.
He got a boxing license the other day. That is super Ultimo level trolling. Like, that guy knows. Whoever advised him to do that, thumbs up. You're a smart person. Whoever told him.
What was the gentleman's name that you
mentioned
that wrote that article?
Which one?
On the
John. I think it was John Nash.
John Nash on it was Bloody Elbow you mentioned?
Yeah.
Okay.
Great stuff.
I'll look that
Great
up.
Stuff.
I want to read that. I want to read that for sure. But yeah, listen, Sean. Sunday, December 4th, 2:13 a.m. Broken record. Showdown Joe saying it again. Conor McGregor is going to put a number on this organization, and wait till there. I know there's people that are close to me, that are close to his people, that are going to be talking, and it's.
Well, Joe, as you mentioned, it is 2:13 in the morning. I will let you go. I'm going to talk a little Ring of Honor before we go. But anything you want to tell the people, besides follow us at Fightful Online on Twitter and Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, iTunes. Of course, visit Fightful.com, all your news, and share the page, of course.
Yes, man. Thank you everyone for tuning in this late here, and of course, lots of love going to Sean Ross Sapp. The guy does not stop working. I'm exhausted. I'm sure you can see the bags under my eyes, but I'm going to sleep right now. But he's going to keep going long into the night. But man, best of luck, and always a pleasure being on the air with you.
Before we go, I'll drop this news. $188,000 gate. Terrible. Anthony Smith, Jared Cannonier, Sarah McMahon, Ian Cutabella. Those are, or Cutalaba. Those are your Performance of the Night bonuses. Joe, I will see you on Wednesday, my friend.
Yes, sir. Ciao, man.
Take care. Now, we had Ring of Honor Final Battle, but we also have some Ring of Honor news, some big Ring of Honor news, and WWE news at that. The Young Bucks have re-signed a 2-year contract with Ring of Honor and New Japan. This is big for a lot involved. It extends far beyond them. Their money is substantially higher than it was last year for their 1-year deal. They are also able to still work PWG. They're able to work some overseas shows as well. This is just a U.S.-Japan deal. The Young Bucks will also see their money increase in 2018. Now, that's really good because the WWE, I feel, is going to aggressively seek out talent. That buzz for NXT isn't where it used to be, and they need to come up on the NXT brand. So I think they're gonna try for Adam Cole when his contract's up, Jay Lethal, Kyle O'Reilly, unless O'Reilly's re-signed a deal. So I don't know. Shinsuke Nakamura won the NXT title in Japan. I would keep spoilers from you usually, but they've already announced it on Instagram. I get the feeling that he's going to drop it to Joe in Australia, where our own Anna Bauer will be. So that's cool. Also, Trina and Alex Pawlowski were at tonight's House of Hardcore, which streamed on Flow Slam. So that's cool. Flow Slam will be recording or filming a documentary at Matt Riddle's house while we do the podcast this week. That's cool. So we have this final battle card. The Rebellion versus Motor City Machine Guns and Donovan Dijak. So first off, I'll say, how do you not pair up Motor City Machine Guns with Kushida in that 6-man tournament? That's weird to me. The Motor City Time Splitters, that's too good to just pass up, in my opinion. I could not be less interested in Rhett Titus, Kenny King, and Caprice Coleman, which is weird for me to think because I was really high on ANX like 5 years ago when they had that tag division that was just popping in ROH. I like World's Greatest Tag Team, Briscoes, ANX, Kings of Wrestling. It was a good time. It was a good time. I don't think Bucks were there. I think they were in TNA. But and they're pushing them and Kingdom. Oh, gross, man. So this match picked up midway through. And I'll say this, Ring of Honor has the best sounding barricades, period. Somebody says over under 206, 125,000 buys. I think it'll do 150, 175 maybe. But yeah, this match picked up, but I'm not a big fan of the Rebellion, as they're called now. Silas Young versus Jushin Thunder Liger. Silas Young wins an 11-minute match. I love Silas Young. That guy is deceptively athletic. He's really good. Jushin Thunder Liger is 52. I think he just turned 52. Unbelievable, man. I guess it's not that unbelievable. Chris Jericho is not that far off, and he's still going. I think he's 46, 47. Dalton Castle gets a big win over Colt Cabana. Good to see Cabana as a heel. You just got to switch it up, and Cabana needed to switch it up, and he did. New music, new wrestling style. I liked it. If I'm WWE, Dalton Castle's another one of those guys I go after really, really, really hard because he's a character. And it's not hard to build characters that, this is the type of guy that they would have put out in the Duke the Dumpster Droese era as a character. But it works today. Duke the Dumpster Droese doesn't work today. Literally or figuratively. Good win for Dalton Castle. I love his deadlift German suplex. I wish that was a secondary finish for him. Cody defeated Jay Lethal. So Ring of Honor let TNA use Brandy. That was weird. That was awkward. She did a DX reference. Okay, that was dumb. So Cody had probably his best match ever. I think his best singles match ever against Jay Lethal, and turned heel. And it was white hot, you guys. Addiction came out before. Now, I don't know the motive in turning Addiction babyface, but they had that incredible Ladder Wars match, and it got out that Christopher Daniels was responsible for that. And anybody who watches Ring of Honor was probably going to read that. So, I thought maybe that could be the case. Maybe that could be why, but that's a far-fetched thing, man. Like me speculating that, and certainly far from true. But they cut a babyface promo. It started off as a heel promo, but ended up being a babyface promo before the match, saying that Ring of Honor needed more people like this. Cody Rhodes turns heel, attacks Steve Corino after the match. Cody Rhodes is over as a heel in Ring of Honor, and immediately I'd put him among the top heels in Ring of Honor. Like, of course, he's working with Jay Lethal, so that's a big program. Yeah, somebody says Kenny King's name should be Skip, because that's what people do when he appears on TV. Hit Skip. It seems like he tries a little too hard. Like if he's just more natural, I would like him a lot more, but he tries too hard. Kingdom defeated Kushida, Leo Rush, and Jay White. I don't like the Kingdom. I don't understand ROH's fascination with Matt Taven. When Leo Rush hit the frog splash immediately, I thought that should have been it. I don't understand the appeal of Matt Taven. I've never heard somebody say, I can't wait for a Kingdom match, either this iteration or the old iteration. I just don't get it. I don't get the fascination with Matt Taven. I've said it 3 times. I'll never understand it. They're your first ever Ring of Honor 6-man World Tag Team Champions. Okay. Who else you got there? I would love to see Motor City Machine Guns and Kushida be a semi-regular thing, though. The Motor City Time Splitters. It just makes too much sense to not do that. Weird to me. But who else is there going to be? You're always going to have a Bullet Club combination there, of course. Always a Bullet Club combination. And you've got the Rebellion. The Briscoes can adopt Cheeseburger, I guess. That's cool. Marty Scurll defeated Dragon Lee and Will Ospreay to retain the ROH World Television Championship. Couple things I didn't like about this. Like, I hate the hold on to the top rope deal while you're hanging upside down. That's stupid. They waited for each other to flip a couple times. Didn't like that. The match was too short for my liking. I could have watched these guys go into something else. A lot of people like this match. There was a lot that took me out of it, unfortunately. But I like Marty Scurll. I like Dragon Lee. I like Will Ospreay. It's just there are a couple things. I want it to make sense. And flips make sense to me. I watch MMA. I watch Ryan Hall flip and flop around all day. It's legit. You can do it. But Marty Scurll is one of those guys. He and Will Ospreay, A+ signings for Ring of Honor. As they might lose some names, those are 2 names in the future that are going to be big. Young Bucks beat the Briscoes to retain the tag titles. Excellent match. I don't know about not selling like 10 straight super kicks, I think it was, but good match nonetheless. The Broken Hardys are coming to Ring of Honor the day before WrestleMania. So TNA signed off on that. Looks like maybe they're becoming a little more liberal with that. That's good. And the Bucks just signed new deals. Gotta hope the Briscoes do too, because that'd be a big hit, because you're losing 2 big singles guys and a big tag team, and they're versatile. They seamlessly transition between singles and tag. Like, they could not tag for 4 months, then just all of a sudden, okay, I like that. I love it. Want some more of it. Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole. This was an outstanding match. Kyle O'Reilly's one of the best workers in the world. Just awesome. He could make 205 Live. He could be on 205 Live, you guys. I don't want him on 205 Live. He's too good for what they did last week, rather. The main event was good, though. Adam Cole loses. His contract extends till I think April, because he was hurt. So they had a freeze on it. It was supposed to end at like December 31st. But because he was hurt, I think they get 4 more months out of him. Somebody says the Hardys can probably do anything they want right now with TNA. Yeah, I would say so. I would imagine they have pretty much free reign over that. But damn, man. Damn. That was a Final Battle. I thought it was a solid show. Not a blowaway show or anything, but a pretty solid show. The main event was exceptional. The co-main event was pretty good. Ultimately, there are a lot of people in Ring of Honor that I'm just like, channel change, mainly in their 6-person division. Guys, we are back Sunday night after TLC. Please visit Fightful.com. Please share the page, share the site. I can't tell you how important that is to us. Also, whenever the Sheety Award goes up for vote, please vote for us. Help out Fightful.com. Give us a little more street cred, if you don't mind. I will tweet those links. I will post those links. We'll do a story on it. But do that. It may seem a little, I don't know, ridiculous. But hey, we like to be recognized for our hard work, especially me. Maybe I'll run a new egomaniac gimmick if I win. Maybe. I don't like gimmicks on podcasts. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I really appreciate you guys. And hey, guys, don't forget, freshcleantees.com. Save 20% with that code FIGHTFUL. We're out.